either. Like, that's just my, Vicki is saying, that she talked to Andy recently about her coming back. FYI, that's what she's putting out there. I personally don't believe that. That's just my opinion. I don't. I'm sorry. She might have talked to Andy about coming back. Yeah. I mean, there might have been a text or a phone call where she said, hey, please, I'll take half the salary or even less, please. I'll even come back as a friend of, and Andy said, ha, 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 ha. Let me go attend to Lucy in bed. I mean, maybe that's not a lie. If you talk, I don't really think Vicki, unless I think Tamra will be back 100 times over before we have Vicki back. Not the direction the show is going.
Also, some other jabs that Vicki and Steve have thrown at each other, obviously Steve is now married. Vicki goes on to basically allege that Steve cheated on her in the relationship. She also has said, he met his now wife at a bar. The woman is seriously, quote, a bar fly. And she's looking to marry a rich older man. Well, guess what? He's old, but he's not rich. Good luck, bitch. Like, he's a retired policeman. Good for him. He's got a pension, but it doesn't pay much, basically is what she said. And then he responded to Entertainment Tonight to these quotes and says, Vicki's a pathological liar. Her past behavior shows that clearly. People forget, but she is absolutely a liar. I never once cheated on her, and I ended our engagement and relationship in December of 2020. She insisted on not telling the press and insisted on remaining friends. But that ended when she needed a storyline and began lying about me. That's what I can kind of see that. Steve's probably, I don't know. It's hard to know, but I mean, Steve's probably not totally wrong.
And I mean, I thought for a minute, Steve was going to start giving us examples throughout, her, multiple decade seasons on RHOC where we caught her in lies. Like, I was like, does Steve know RHOC to be able to quote it? Like, huh? Yes. Now we are going to talk about all these people Vicki's feuding with, but I have something here. Where is EJ? Because she just said that he's poor and made a reference to his police officer pension. EJ has nothing to say, or good Erica Jane about her son who's a police officer. I'd like a clap back from Erica Jane of like, you just kind of insulted the police, I feel.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get something from Erica Jane. She didn't respond, right? I didn't see that.
No, but I would just like, I guess, God, I'm being shady and devious today. I guess I'm creating feuds now that don't exist. But normally when someone says something about the police, EJ is right there. And, this is a perfect example, time for EJ to clap back. Now, Vicki is also feuding with, speaking of where we started, Miss Mellencamp. She's feuding with Miss Mellencamp.
So good. Oh my God. The video clips are great. The online back and forth is great.
What can you tell us about this one?
I'm in love with this. Well, I'm not sure the news. I think it was actually Entertainment Tonight. Tamra and Vicki, of course, were promoting Girls Trip. And so Tamra kind of starts, I think the interviewer had asked her in regards to two teas in a pod. And then Vicki jumps right in and she's like, we're not here to promote your podcast. We're not going to do that today. And Tamra's like, okay. I mean, I was just talking about our podcast. You don't know Teddi. I don't want to know Teddi. I fucking love Vicki Gunvalson. So I think that's what kind of started it. And then, Teddi, good for Teddi, takes that online and basically says that, Vicki called one of her bosses at iHeartRadio where they distribute the podcast and asking for them to get rid of Teddi to insert Vicki in the podcast instead. Basically just this back and forth of like, they've never met. Teddi doesn't know Vicki. Vicki doesn't know Teddi. But Vicki doesn't really like her. I mean, it was so good back and forth. Then it got to the comments. And I mean, Teddi, I think, kind of really read Vicki. Vicki is not good at clapbacks, I don't think, online at all. But she's just great and dramatic and over the top. So okay, wait, what else am I missing? I feel like
so first, and I have some inside tea, so I just need to
okay, tell me.
Well, here's the thing. Listen.
Oh, wait, there was one other big clapback, which was Teddi saying everybody needs to research where Vicki Gunvalson was on January 6th, implying that Vicki was storming the Capitol. maybe not even storming the Capitol, but, prior to storming the Capitol, there was a relatively peaceful protest down to the Lincoln Memorial, in support of Trump, right? So Teddi was insinuating she was at least there for that. Now, Vicki did clap back to that and says that she's in Mexico. And I feel like people found screenshots and things to prove that Vicki was in Mexico, but maybe you have insider info.
Well, no, not about that. I did see that about Teddi. I mean, I hate bringing politics into it because I believe like people have a right to whatever. I mean, it's a strange thing for Teddi to bring up. I mean, if Teddi wants to go down there and basically she's saying Vicki supports Trump, I mean, we have to throw in Tamra herself, all of her Beverly Hills. I mean, we have a lot of housewives that support Trump. Like we could go on. They just
don't say it publicly.
Right. So, I mean, but I understand what Teddi's, Teddi, like that's crazy. Like, I mean, Vicki can do what she wants and have her own beliefs. Does she support Trump? Yeah, sure. Does Steve? Yeah, sure. Like, okay, but I don't know why that's now part of this. But I do agree on a couple of things. I don't think Vicki is good at clapbacks. I don't. I think she's it makes her even more authentic in a way. She's not. Look, I think when you come in now, we've talked about it before, when you come in now to Housewives, like it's a different skill set. Survivors talk about this all the time. And the Survivor, where the old school Survivors, with Jeff Probst, I'm referring to that show, like the new people that come in now, it's a new way of playing the game. I just think the really old school Housewives, it's a different thing. I don't think Vicki really ever learned how and this is actually a compliment, how like the new regime, the Drew Sidoras, who come into Atlanta having watched it for years. I just don't think Vicki knows how to clap back. And that to me is a compliment. Yes, when you're going back and forth on social media, I don't think you win the round, Vicki. Teddi did say all of that. She also brought up, I mean, this is everyone's bringing it up, Brooks's cancer scam, and that Vicki's this and that. I do, and then Vicki, right. So she brought up Brooks and then Vicki's like low blow. So she's saying Teddi did a low blow. You know nothing about what transpired. Now, this is a decent clapback. Here we are. She said, this is why you only lasted 3 years. Me, 14. She gets that one. She gets that one. Not good with the clapbacks, but she gets that one. That's when Teddi said, well, if we're talking numbers, tell us where you were on January 6th. I think Vicki does win that round, but overall, I agree. Here's the thing. Vicki, now I was on Vicki's podcast. I don't want to out anybody, but listen, I mean, how can I say this without revealing too much? Vicki also has a podcast that failed. That's a fact. Okay. And then she had another one. She kind of reinvented the podcast and then that didn't work out. So I personally think podcast is a sore subject with Vicki. I do. Okay. Because this podcast is successful and hers wasn't. Can I believe Vicki's calling iHeart? I mean, she was kind of in that network and with her can I picture her saying like Tamra and Vicki, that's the iconic duo, it should be me and her. Yes. I actually believe that. I do.
I don't have any doubt. I'm sure.
I mean, look, here's what I'll also say. When I was on Vicki's podcast, it's a great episode that I executive produced, period. That's not a maybe. I executive produced myself on Vicki's podcast. And what I mean by that is her team said, what are you doing on Vicki's podcast? Why are you coming? And to me, I was like, well, what do you mean? I'm coming on your show. I've been on thousands of podcasts. I mean, I show up, I'm a guest, you ask me questions, I talk and I leave. They were like, well, we need to know, because Vicki's podcast was